All right, you all, it is Loki finale eve, and I'm ready to get into some theories. I have about 3 or 4. Episode 5 really shook things up, and I don't know about you all, I'm excited about the finale, and hey, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so my first theory is I think the person in the castle is classic Loki. Yes, yes, hear me out. I am going to do a review so you can know what I'm talking about. But even though it was glorious the way he sacrificed himself, classic Loki in the comic books, if I recall right, he is like the most I don't maybe the most conniving one out of all the Lokis. And so for him to change that quickly and be this lovable character, he very well could have, or it's game. So I think it may be classic Loki either working with Immortus, which is a variant of Kang the Conqueror, and or Kang the Conqueror himself, or King Loki is maybe an illusion. When I say an illusion, I'm saying maybe King Loki is something that's shown to our Loki to say, okay, if you work with us, classic Loki and Immortus, then this is something you can be. My second, and I think Miss Minutes is wrapped up in some type of way of this because she's the only AI at the TVA and she can lie. So, my second theory is I'm concerned they may take out Sylvie, as in kill her off. I hope not. Or she may be a part of this whole situation that's going against our Loki. My third is King Loki. It's him. I don't know if I think they're really gonna show Kang the Conqueror in the actual Loki series. Maybe they're just gonna set it up like Loki was with Thanos. That's why I'm saying maybe classic Loki is working with the Mortis, but we shall see. I also think Renslayer knows more than she puts on. So those are my theories. Let's get into the actual review. So the TVA is back to business as usual, as if nothing happened. And the way the camera is turning upside down, it's going along with how the TVA has essentially been turned upside down. The TVA now, well, some of the people from the TVA know that the timekeepers are fake and all of them are actually variants. So Sylvie and Renslayer discuss finding out who the timekeepers are. When she talks to B15 later, it is confirmed that Renslayer doesn't know who's over the TVA herself. So B15, oh, by the way, B15 is actually being kept in the cell. So she didn't die. She's being kept in the cell. Miss Minutes helps Renslayer stall for time so that Sylvie doesn't figure out what's going on. But of course, Sylvie eventually does find out, while Renslayer and Miss Minutes are lying about having some type of aircraft that can get her to the void. Also, Renslayer lets Sylvie know that when they prune people, they don't actually delete them out of existence. They just put them into the void. Now, Renslayer says she doesn't know when people go to what happens when people go to the void, but we find out later what happens to them. So in the midst of stalling, Hunter's coming in and Sylvie ends up pruning herself. Right before she pruned herself, Renslayer asked her if she had any good memories, and she said she could only think of one. And do you think that's of Loki or her mom? By the way, when the guard is coming in, do you all notice the sound that Miss Minute makes? Like, girl, let me get up out of here. So anyway, back in the void, Loki is asking a bunch of questions, and classic Loki lets him know, hey, you're in the void. That monster is Eliath, and he eats everything that gets in there. And Eliath is actually from the Marvel comics. And from my understanding, he actually is associated with Kang the Conqueror. Or Mortis. Somebody tell me in the comments. All right, so the Loki's chat. Classic Loki. Classic Loki says, "Hey, we survive, and that's what we do." Which, again, keep that in mind. The whole survival thing. There are a bunch of Easter eggs in the void, such as the Thanos chopper, which is from the comics. You have Throg. Did I say that right? Thor the Frog and Mjolnir. They're in there. The head of the Living Tribunal. Just all types of stuff. And Morbius is alive. Okay, so Sylvie prunes herself. She ends up in the void. Mobius saves her before Eliath can actually eat her, which she did accidentally enchant Eliath for a moment. And she's able to see there is something beyond Eliath. Dum dum dum. So going back to Loki and the other Lokis, Loki is trying to figure out, why is everybody answering to Kid Loki? And we find out it's because the Void is King Loki's kingdom because he killed Thor. Yikes. So now we're in the Loki layer, the Loki kickback, and you have Alligator Loki that is drinking boxed wine and boastful Loki making up a story about how he took out Captain America and Iron Man, and Alligator Loki calls him out. So Alligator Loki and boastful Loki get into a fight. Classic Loki breaks it up. And so Classic Loki talks about what his Nexus event was. And also, he did not get killed by Thanos. He cast a projection that was strong enough to fool Thanos. That ain't suspicious to you? Like he couldn't be faking to the end? Who knows? Maybe I'm just being extra. So anyway, Classic Loki disguised himself as debris and he floated off, went to a planet, stayed there for a long time, did some soul searching, and he decided he wanted to go back. And as soon as he was trying to go back to his family, which he missed, that's when the TVA got him. The Lokis settle on the ideal that they are supposed to be outcasts. Our Loki says, no, that's not how he wants his story to go. He tries to convince them to go along with him to kill Eliath. And they laugh. And on Loki's way out, that's where he meets President Loki and his crew. And come to find out, doggone boastful Loki, the only brother Loki on there, sold them out. We are not all the same.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
So Alligator Loki bites off the hand of President Loki. Then an all-out fight breaks out. Classic Loki ends up casting a projection of Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and our Loki, and they dip out through a portal. And look, Classic Loki's projections can actually fight. Suspicious. So the Lokis of the Void tell our Loki that they will help him get to Eliath, but that's it. They're not going to help him defeat Eliath. So they end up meeting up with Mobius and I almost said Sylvie. And so Classic, Kid, Alligator, and Mobius, they go into an abandoned place where they are roasting one of these interesting looking birds that has a dot as a head, but okay. And so Sylvie and Loki are sitting outside acting like they're cold, even though they're frost giants. Look, just say you all want to cuddle and be done. They do end up cuddling, by the way. Loki conjures a blanket. Sylvie gets vulnerable and she's like, how do I know you will not betray me? In the end, Loki looks her deep into her eyes and lets her know that's not what he's going to do to his boo. So they now have their plan. Sylvie is going to enchant Eliath. She gives her tin pad to Loki. Loki's like, no, I am staying with you. Then they figuratively play hot potato, and Mobius now is the one with the tin pad, and he offers to take Classic and Kid Loki and Alligator Loki back. They say no, and so Mobius goes back, but not before announcing he is going to burn the TVA to the ground.
Wow.
Our Loki tries to create a distraction so Sylvie can enchant Eliath. It doesn't work. So Classic Loki decides to sacrifice himself and create an illusion of Asgard as he remembers it. And the score here is just great. the music, the choir. It's touching. It is. But I do wonder if the same way he was able to get away from Thanos, is that what he did to get away from Elias? But it was nice. He talked about earlier on how he had missed his brother and Asgard. And so for him to recreate it with the thunder, it was very touching. With that, Sylvie and Loki were able to enchant Elias because they are still Lokis. And it just goes to show that they have more power than they thought. And even Classic Loki said earlier on, the daggers just stunt their growth as far as their potential. So they show there is a castle beyond Elias, and who do you think it is? What are your theories? Is it Renslayer? Is it Miss Minutes? Is it King Loki? Is it Immortus? Is it Kang the Conqueror? You let me know in the comments, and ready for the finale.